Hello, welcome back. In today's session, we're gonna learn how to use this 7-segment display. In addition, you will also learn special kinds of data structure called array. And you will also learn to use multi-dimensional array. Toward the end of this session, I will also introduce you to the multi-file sketch, which will allow you to create a sketch which contains several files. First of all, let's start with array. Well, imagine that you need 3 variables to hold 3 values. In this example, you need q1, q2, and q3 to hold 3 integers values. So what if we have 100 values? That means you may need q1, q2, q3 up to q100. And what if we have more than that? Now, it might be not that easy to have several variables. With the concept of array, we can have just one main variable and use an index to point to the sub-variable inside. In this example, rather than declare q1, q2, and q3, I just declare one variable q with 3 members. So if I want to access the first member, I just index with q0. Again, I just want to point out that the first index always starts with zeros. This also applies to your Java programming language. Well, let's say you want to store a big table in your program. With array, we can have index like a subscription to the member in a table. So if you want 2-dimensional tables like rows and columns, we can use 2-dimensional arrays. So in this example, I have 3 times 3 tables. I can just declare 3 times 3 array. Now let's move on to learn more about our 7-segment. Well, from the name, this display has 7 parts or 7 segments. To make it easier, we will refer to each segment as A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. However, most 7-segment display also have a dot, so we use DP for dot. Well, I assume that everybody is now familiar with the 7-segment because you see it at every traffic light. You see the countdown number. If you look carefully, that's also a big 7-segment that you have seen. With 7-segment, we can just use the combination of each of the 7 parts to display the number, like 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 9. For our Arduino board, the 7-segment is designed to connect to the 10-pin connectors. You can just plug in your 7-segment to the 10-pin connectors, like this. Just plug it in. Alright. However, this pin is a special port, so I have already provided you a special code that will allow you to pass data from the main AVR chip to the chip register and then to the port. You can just use it. So in this lab, you will learn to create a multi-file sketch. In particular, you will have my library, my file, the extension port in one tab, and you will write your main program in the main tab. One important information that might be helpful when you have to do your lab is that one problem in the lab, I asked you to create a digital dice. To create a digital dice, you have to generate a random numbers. The Arduino has already provided you with a random function. However, before using the random function, you have to first run the random seed. This will allow you to create a unique seed of the pseudo-random number generator. Well, just include this code into your setup and use the random function whenever you want a random number. Well, let me give you some demonstration. Hopefully, you will understand the purpose and the idea of things that I want you to do today. Let's start with the first exercise. For the first exercise, you can just type in the code that I have provided. Well, first I create a new tab. I name my tab extension port. Yeah, you can just type the code for the extension port here. Alright, now back to the main sketch. Let's create a setup function. In the setup function, I call extension port init, and for the main loop function, I just create an array with 8 integers. Now I want it to display number 0, so A should be low, B should be low, C low, D low, E low, F low, and G should be high. Well, for our logics, high means turn off. So I only want one segment to be off, which is G. The last segment is actually the dot, so I make it low just to display the dot. Then I send this array to the extension port write function like this. Now download it to the board. If you got it right, here's the result, the number 0. See that only one segment is off, which is G. The others, they are all on. For exercise number 2, basically I have already provided you with the code. So here's the code that I have provided. What you have to do is that you have to modify it so that it will show your student ID. Right? So let's assume that my student ID is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have to figure out what should be the display digit, which segment should be on and off for 1, right? Since I have already done that, I can just use it. This is 1 and 2. Now 3 and 4. The question explicitly say that the last digit should show the dot, so I modify my last digit to show the dot, right? And actually I have 4 numbers, so I change my constant from 2 to 4. Anyway, you might want to try figuring out all the digits, all the segments by first answering question number 7 and number 8. Right? Now I'm all set. I download it to my board and let's see the result. This is what I expect to see from the exercise number 2. However, this is just 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it should be your student ID. So I leave it to you to figuring out how to change it to your student ID. For exercise number 3 and number 4, I leave it to you to figure out how to do it. Alright, but if you got it right, this is what you will get. You have to connect the input switch to the digital port 0 to number 7. Do the programming. If you got it, this is what happens when I click. This will count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 until I reach 9. And if I continue to click, it will stop at 9. Again, the input number 1 to decrease the number. So just count down until I get to zeros and stop at 0. I can always count up and down in the middle like this. So think about it. It's not that difficult. I believe that you will have fun doing it. For the last exercise, I want you to create a digital dice. That means the number that I get from the dice gonna be something between 1 and 6. Alright. Now I assume that you know how to do the click already from the previous exercise. I just add the random seed function so that I have a seed for my random number generator, and whenever I have a click, I just create a random number. Here I move the code that related to the 7-segment display to another module. Well, basically I took the code that I did for question number 7 and number 8 and use it here. So I just use the display num to display the number that I just random. Alright, now let's try and see what happens. Alright, this is what happens. Whenever I click, it's gonna generate a random number for me. So you can use it as a dice. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you enjoy the show. Have fun doing your lab. Please answer question number 7 and 8 before doing your lab. It's gonna be helpful for your exercise. Enjoy. Goodbye.